Welcome guys again in this new video concerning Bloom's taxonomy. This video is an extension of the previous video. As you remember, we talked about a general idea about what is taxonomy and who is Benjamin Bloom and the purpose behind this taxonomy and the subclassifications of this model. So in this video we'll go deep into details about the subclassifications of that this model has developed. As you recall that there are three learning domains that this model has developed. The first one is the cognitive domain, the second one is the affective domain, the third one is the psychomotor domain. And we'll go into deep to each subclassification or to each domain or objective or category. Let's start with this domain, which is the cognitive domain, that was developed in 1956 by Benjamin Bloom. This is the book of Benjamin Bloom, Taxonomy of Educational Objectives, that was written or developed in 1956. Let's start with a brief introduction about this cognitive domain, or what is this domain. It is a taxonomy related to cognitive domain that has been presented by Bloom in his partners or his associate subjects in 1956. This domain includes those objectives which deals with thinking, reasoning, ability, and problem solving of students. Underline these words. These about thinking, cognition. We have cognition, reasoning. What is logic? And this domain is divided or subdivided in 6 categories. We'll see them later. The cognitive domain involves knowledge. To know, knowledge. I think, knowledge. It starts from the bottom to up, from the lowest thinking skill to the highest thinking skill, and the development of intellectual skills. This includes the recall or recognition of specific facts, about recalling, remembering procedural patterns and concepts that serve in the development of intellectual abilities and skills. There are 6 major categories of cognitive processes, starting from the simplest to the most complex. So you have an idea about what is this domain, what is cognitive domain. about recalling, recognition of specific facts, other stuff. It involves knowledge in the development of intellectual skills. Let's go on. These are the sub-classifications, the 6 categories of this domain, from the simplest, as we saw, to the complex, from knowledge to recall to evaluate. To the highest, which is evaluation, or to judge. Was created or was developed in 1956. Or they were developed. We talked about cognitive domain in general. And we see the original work that was developed in 1956, and there are modifications that were settled in 2001. We have, as you see, from nouns to verbs, and we have reversion. One after the other. There is a change of synthesis and evaluation that was before it, and in 2001 it became in after it. We'll see later on. We have knowledge in the bottom. We have knowledge, we have comprehension, we have application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And in 2001, this changed into verbs, verb form. We have remember, we have understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Let's move on to elaborate these things. Original taxonomy was developed in 1956 and was revised in 2001. Do you see the modifications just between evaluation and synthesis? We have evaluating and then creating. We have from the lower order thinking skill or skills to the higher order hardly order thinking skills. We have evaluation, synthesis, application, analysis, comprehension, knowledge. They became to create, that is, I can plan, evaluate, I can judge, analyze, I can be logical. Or sorry, I started from the highest level of thinking skill. We have knowledge, we have comprehension, we have analysis, we have application, synthesis, and evaluation. And in the other column, we have remember, which is I know, understand, I comprehend, apply, I can use it, analyze, I can be logical, evaluate, I can judge, then create, I can plan. Let's go to these are the modifications, and we have from noun to verb. Let's go to the let's go to the details about these classification or this domain. We have the first one, which is knowledge, in the first column, and the second column was revised to be remember, which is the lowest level of objectives, primarily aims for the acquisition of knowledge concerning facts, terminology, methods and processes, generalized principles, theories and structures. It is to recall previous learned information, recalling relevant knowledge from long-term memory. I want you to recall these. Sorry. Long-term memory. Let's go. Let's see another thing about this subdivision. It involves the recall of specifics in the universals, the recall of methods and processes, or the recall of a pattern, structure, or setting. To illustrate this, a student can write list defined with his knowledge if he has. Let's go about some divisions of about what is knowledge. Knowledge is related to knowledge of specifics, knowledge of ways and means of dealing with specifics, and knowledge of universal and abstractions. Let's go the appropriate verbs of this. To know, or to think, it means to choose. In the appropriate verb related to this taxonomy, to this domain, we have choose. Actually, this subdivision: choose, to describe, to define, identify, label, list, locate, match, memorize. Underline this word: to memorize, to recall, name, omit, recite, recognize, select, state, underline. The products that are used in the classroom context: we have chart, model, worksheet, draw a map, picture. To demonstrate, have graphs. Let's go say with this lowest order of thinking skill, we have instructional strategies. We have highlighting, we have rehearsal, we have memorizing, we have mnemonics. These are the strategies or the techniques. We'll see what is strategy and what is a technique in later videos. And the questions that are raised here we have who, we have where, should be raised here. We have who, we have where, we have which, one, what, how, what is the best one, why, how much, we have when, and what does it mean. Let's go to the second subdivision of this domain. We have comprehension. In the revision we have, it was revised to be modified as to understand or to comprehend. We have, this is based on the knowledge. If there is no knowledge, will be no comprehension. If there is no knowledge in the mind or in the memory, there is no comprehension. No comprehension will take place. It means the basic understanding of facts, ideas, methods. You will not process principles or theories. Actually, it refers to a type of understanding or apprehension, such as the individual knows what is communicated, what is being communicated. To understand, this is the second level to understand. Students translates, comprehends, or interprets information based on prior learning, like to explain, summarize, paraphrase, describe. Let's move on. What is comprehending? Comprehending the meaning. Comprehending the meaning, translation, interpolation, interpretation of instructions and problems. Underline this. State a problem in one's own words. These are, I give you a plethora of definitions of each subclassification or each level. The ability to understand, translate, paraphrase, interpret, or extrapolate material. These are the verbs that are related to this level. We have summarize, explain, interpret, describe, compare, convert, distinguish, estimate, paraphrase, differentiate, demonstrate, visualize, restate, rewrite, give examples. Bear in mind these issues. Let's go. What does this level concentrated on? It concentrates on translation. As we see, comprehending the meaning, translation, interpretation, and extrapolation. We have appropriate verbs. We saw them and I added other verbs. We have classify, defend, communicate, demonstrate, distinguish, explain. You communicate meaning, express, extend, give example, illustrate. To illustrate, to indicate, to interrelate ideas or meanings, report, to associate, report, interpret, infer, judge, match, paraphrase, represent, restate, write, select, and interpret. To interpret, you see that there are some verbs that were underlined here. They are key verbs. We have communicate, we have report, and to interpret. The products that are used to demonstrate these things. We have chart, we have model, making film strip, worksheet, draw a map, picture, demonstrate, timeline, diorama, game, report, diagram. And there are some products were underlined here, and take some time to think about these issues. We'll say the instructional strategies. We have key examples. We have emphasize connections, elaborate concepts, summarize. I repeat things in order to make you memorize or recall these things. Questions that were raised here to ask your students. State in your own words which are the facts. What does this mean? Sorry, is this the same as? Give an example, select the best definition, state in one word, explain what is happening. Let's go to the next level. Application is to apply. What does this level refer to? It refers to the use of abstractions in particular and concrete situations. Student selects, transfers, and uses data and principles to complete a problem with a minimum of directions. How a student can use compute, solve, and apply his knowledge. To apply knowledge. This is important. Applying knowledge. To apply knowledge. To apply knowledge. For example, we have 100 minus 15 equals 85. Other definitions is breaking the concept into parts and understand how each part is related to one another. It relates to three things. To apply is generalization of facts, laws, principles, and theories. Diagnosis of pupils' weakness. To diagnose your students' weaknesses. Application of contents, terms, and laws by the pupils. What you have studied, and you should apply it. What you have learned, you should apply it in the context, in real context. Let's go to other things. Another definition is the capacity to use information and transfer knowledge from one setting to another. Use learned material in a new situation. We have the verbs that are related to this. We have to apply, choose, practice, solve, illustrate, calculate, interpret, manipulate, predict, show, apply, classify, modify, put into practice. To practice, demonstrate, compute, operate. Other verbs that were not included in the first list: apply, choose, practice, solve. Some were repeated: illustrate, conduct, classify, employ, dramatize, explain, generalize, judge, organize, paint, prepare, produce, select, show, sketch, solve, use, construct, investigate, restructure, manipulate. The product that were used are survey, diary, scrapbook, photograph, cartoon, learning center, illustration, construction, and sculpture. Let's go to the instructional strategies. Just repeat things. We have, in other words, modeling. We have cognitive apprehensiveships between comma. We have mindful practice, not just a routine practice. Mindful, not routine. Part in the whole sequencing. Authentic situations, coached, practice case studies, simulations, algorithms. We have practice case simulations, algorithms. Model questions, we have predict what would happen if, choose the best statements that apply, judge the effect, what would result, tell what would happen, tell how, when, where, why, tell how much change there will be, identify the result of, etc. You choose. Then we'll go to the upcoming level, analysis, to analyze. There is breakdown of a communication into its constituent elements or parts. Students distinguishes, classifies, and relates the evidence or structure of a statement or question. Students can analyze, categorize, compare, and separate. Means identifying detail and having the ability to discover and differentiate the components, parts of a situation or information. To deconstruct means to break down. Analysis composed of analysis of elements, analysis of relationship, analysis of organized principles. Bear in mind these issues. Appropriate verbs, we have analyze, categorize, classify, compare, differentiate, question, distinguish, identify. Other lists, we have infer, point out, select, subdivide, survey, contrast, categorize, debate, examine, deduce. The product that were used here, graph, survey, or educational products, pedagogical. We have graph, survey, family tree, timeline, questionnaire, commercial, diagram, chart, report, fact, file. You don't understand things, let's comments and I see them and I can give you feedback. Let's go to the instructional strategies. We have models of thinking, challenging assumptions, retrospective analysis, reflection through journaling, debates, discussions, and other collaborating learning activities, decision making situations. And the question that must be raised here, just to give you examples. What is the function of, what's the fact, opinion, what assumptions, etc. What statement is relevant? What motive is there? Related to, extraneous to, not applicable. What conclusions? What does the author believe? What does the author assume? Make a distinction. This what is related to These are the things that are related to the analysis level. Let's go to the next, or before the last level. We have evaluation, to evaluate or to judge. Judgments are judgments about the value of material and methods for given purposes. Student can judge what he learned, whether it is right or wrong. If wrong, then he can start the process again. Student can judge, recommend, critique, and justify. It's about judgments. I told you, it's about judgments based on not haphazard judgments, but based on criteria, logical criteria or guidelines, the value of ideas or materials. Underline, make sure to have these set of guidelines, the value of ideas in all materials. Pay attention, not let's go. What is evaluation composed of? We have judgment in terms of internal evidences, and we have judgment in terms of external evidences. Two types. External evidences, judgments about internal evidences. And go to another definition is the ability to judge the value or use of information using appropriate criteria. You have criteria, not haphazard. Support judgment with reason. Reasoning is very important in judgment. Not based on your emotions, it's based on reasoning. Reason, logic, your mind. Appropriate verbs, we have appraise, we have judge, criticize, defend, estimate, compare, measure, verify, justify, select, decide, choose, recommend, assess, critique, revise, validate, standardize, argue, rate, measure. Sometimes you have to use your feelings extensively with and your reason to judge. But reason is very important. Don't get it absent. In this level, judgment, logic, and rationality is very significant. The products that were used here were self-evaluation. We have survey, we have editorial experiment, we have panel evaluation, we have recommendation, a conclusion, court trial, essay, letter. Let's go. Let's go to the last level, or the highest level of thinking skills, or the cognitive domain, the higher level of this cognitive domain, which is synthesis, or to create. Actually, it involves the putting together of elements and parts so as to form a whole. Student originates, integrates. Pay attention. Putting together, underline this sentence or this phrase, or this utterance, putting together of elements and parts to us to form a whole. Students originates, integrates, and combines ideas into a product, plan, or proposal that is new to him. Something, you create new thing. From things, you create new things. He can create, design, invent, and develop. He can combine different types of information to find alternative solutions. For example, he can combine this to make a sentence. We have a mother, invention is necessary, the. For example, you can say the invention is mother necessary, or necessary mother based on certain criteria. You can give your student words and you can combine them to have a full meaningful complete sentence, like as you see here. Let's go. What is synthesis, and what are the things that are related to it? We have unique combination by arranging different elements. We have, as you see in the example, we have elements, and you should combine them. Suggest new plans by combining all elements. Establish an abstract relationship among different elements. We have a relationship. We have to establish an abstract or a relationship. An abstract relationship. Between those elements. You have it's based on building a structure or pattern from diverse elements, put together parts together to form a whole, with emphasis on creating a new meaning or structure. With emphasis. This is important. Let me underline it for you. In this level, you should create something new. And this newness is based on meaning or structure. Putting together information together in an innovative way. This is the key utterance here. Another idea, we have the ability to combine parts to create a big picture from all the elements that you have, like a puzzle. We have the verbs that are related to this level. We have design, hypothesize, support, write, report, combine, comply, develop, discuss, plan, compare, create, construct, rearrange, compose, organize. Let's go to the appropriate, or just a repetition for those verbs. That should not forget these words, because they are important in these elements. Choose, combine, compose, construct, create, design, manage, develop, do, improve, formulate, hypothesize, invent, make up, originate, organize, plan, imagine, produce, role play, tell. I underlined these two key verbs because they are important and major in this level, to manage and to imagine. Then we'll move to the products, that pedagogical or educational products. We have story, we have poem, we have play, radio show, puppet show, news article, invention, dance, mural, comic strip, recipe, pantomime, travelogue, and other products. Let's go to the instructional strategies. We have modeling, we have challenging assumptions, reflection through journaling, debate, discussions, and other collaborating learning activities. We have design, we have decision making situations. And the question that must be raised here to your students, just examples. How would you test, etc.? We have proposed an alternative. We have solved the following. We have how else would you state a rule. This is the last thing that this is here in this video. Thank you for watching my video, and I appreciate it, and waiting for me to next videos and next levels for the same taxonomy, and staying with Bloom's taxonomy.